So Ravens flock, we got some interesting news earlier today regarding two important players. So earlier today, Eric DeCosta announced that the Ravens will be picking up Kyle Hamilton's fifth-year option, but they will not be picking up Tyler Linderbaum's fifth-year option. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a big deal if the Ravens just do the common sense thing, which is work out these contracts as soon as possible. But there is a part of me that is a little concerned that they may unnecessarily let Tyler Linderbaum walk, just because in their own words they love to zig when other people zag. So I would really hate to see that. But this is officially the final year of Tyler Linderbaum's his rookie deal, and the Ravens already said that they intend on working out contracts with both of them as soon as possible. And I do believe, even though I have concerns, there are reasons to be optimistic and believe that the deals will be worked out. Again, we have to remember, even though Eric DeCosta has missed on many draft picks, 2022 is arguably his best draft class to date. When you got guys like Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum and Isaiah Likely, and to let guys from what's probably your best draft class to date walk out the door, the end of their rookie contract, it wouldn't make much sense, especially somebody like Tyler Linderbaum, who is very difficult to replace. He's one of the best centers in the league, and we don't have any backups prepared. So I imagine that they are going to get a contract worked out as soon as possible. Now, the whole situation around this is kind of tricky because even though centers make less than safeties typically, the Ravens chose to pick up Kyle's fifth-year option. Of course, the reason for that is because when it comes to the fifth-year option, is basically based on what you would get paid on a franchise tag, and centers get lumped in with all offensive linemen. So even though centers don't make a whole lot of money, they're also factoring in how much like a left tackle would make, which is like top of the food chain when it comes to money on the offensive line. They're factoring in all that when it comes to your franchise tag as well as your fifth-year option. So even though centers don't make more than safeties, because Tyler would be lumped into all offensive linemen, that would make his fifth-year option over $5 million more expensive than Kyle's fifth-year option. So from an economic standpoint, it makes sense why they chose not to pick up Tyler's fifth-year option, just because it would be cheaper to pick up Kyle's fifth-year option and get him for one more year on a slight discount. But on the flip side, I also understand that they probably can get a deal worked out with Tyler quicker than Kyle, just because of the fact that centers, like I said a few seconds ago, centers don't make a whole lot of money like that. Like, the top centers in the league are making around between 17 and 19 million, more or less. So I imagine to get a deal done with Tyler, he's probably going to be paid somewhere in the ballpark of 17 to 20 million dollars a year, which I think it's deserved. Again, he's actually a solid center. He's just like Kyle. He's also made a couple of Pro Bowls, and these aren't fraudulent Pro Bowl appearances. These are appearances from somebody who actually deserved it, somebody who actually should have been recognized for being a pretty solid center, one of the better centers in the league. So when you think about the money that they would need to set aside to pay Tyler, it's a lot less money compared to what they're going to need to pay Kyle, because Kyle's contract, his contract extension is projected to be in the ballpark of $23 to $25 million a year or more. We'll see what the final number is soon, I guess, but hopefully they just sign both of them as soon as possible. Well, they don't have to rush to sign Kyle because you already picked up his fifth-year option, so they could kind of wait another year, if anything. And in my opinion, I think Kyle had a pretty underwhelming year last year, so maybe they're trying to wait and see if he can bounce back. And if he doesn't get back to being who he was 2 years ago when Mike McDonald was still here, maybe they use that as an excuse to try to lowball him, which I don't think they're going to. I think they're just going to end up paying him, but you never know what their strategy is really. But hopefully they work out deals with both of them. These are two guys who came onto the team at a very important point. I wasn't super hyped about the Kyle pick initially, not because I thought Kyle was a bad player, but just because when we drafted Kyle that year, I wanted a guy like I wanted, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the year that people like Drake London and stuff was available. I wanted us to move up to get one of those guys, or if we didn't move up, I wanted us to just draft Tyler Linderbaum at 14. And when we didn't draft Tyler Linderbaum, I was pretty frustrated because I'm like, we just picked up a safety in the first round and we passed on a chance to get a first round center, which centers worthy of first round picks don't come around often. So, and then also, this is a different league. This isn't the era of Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. So safeties don't get drafted at. I know we draft safeties early a lot, but a lot of other teams are not picking them up a lot, even if they want them. You look at teams like the Minnesota Vikings, who there were reports that they were one of the main teams that wanted to target Kyle Hamilton, even though we ended up going for him. But even though I was mad at the time, a lot of people had disagreed and said it was worth it. And I said, I had my concerns because we just paid Marcus Williams, but in the long run, it was a good pick. And then also, to my surprise, we traded back up into the first round to get Tyler Linderbaum. Now, there were some people who were now on the flip side thinking that getting a center in the first round was crazy. And I'm looking at them like, man, you guys don't understand. Like, we've had offensive line problems. We've had problems at the center position. This guy could be our starting center for the next decade. So regardless, both of these guys have worked out very well, regardless on if we all agreed or disagreed, if it was the right pick at the time. And I'm just hoping that the deals can be sorted out as soon as possible, because we have other question marks on the team. We don't need to worry about how we're going to replace certain players who may not be as easy to replace.